hot, it's cold, it's hot, it's cold. Freshened up my scalp, for filming. So if you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm Steve. Mark's not around, and this is Smokey Steve and Mark. Welcome or welcome back. And welcome to dinner. Welcome to dinner. We're not doing much of dinner tonight. We're having some mac and cheese. I have a piece of fruit. I have a pear. And I threw a handful of pretzels into my mac and cheese because I wanted something crunchy. And I have a thing for unsalted, or no surface salt, pretzels. Tom Sturgis is the brand, but they make them for Hanover, I think, too. Very, very tasty. I usually have them at night with my meds, something to just go in the stomach. So, yes, we are live, calendar page. We are live. Nat, hello. This is just a, hey, how are we doing? Let's, chat. There's no topic for this other than I'll be eating and we'll be talking. That's pretty much it. Jamie, how are you? And I'll be drinking. I'm very, very thirsty. Quite thirsty. So, Miss McPhoebe, how are you? We're going to attempt to do this without glasses so you can actually see my eyes and not just, an hour of glare. To the extent that you might even be looking. Glasgow, hello. Mr. McPhoebes, hello. I'll see you later then. No bigs. No bigs. So, will there be chewing noises? If you're good boys and girls. Does that turn you on? So, no. I like to throw out a beauty bite here and there. But otherwise, no. The goal was to just have something to do, something to nibble on, and something to hang out with. But the point was not necessarily to eat in any sort of way. It's not a turn on. I don't know. I mean, there's a lid for it. People like what they like. I'm sure there's tons of people that would look at Mark and I and go, disgusting, filthy perverts. Now, I don't think that. I think a lot of you probably don't think that. But there's people that do. And that's their measuring stick for, disgusting, I guess. The food stuff to me starts to feel kind of gross. I mean, it's not as gross as when you got to solace fetishes and the things that he was interested in. That would have been a lot different looking on his side. So poor guy, poor nothing. It's Ramadan, I think, actually. Is it? I think, yeah, because she was out hanging out by herself. Nobody was there. And he was somewhere else. That's a shit show that I'm just waiting to see over. I was playing catch up. I was watching a little bit. Almost. I was watching, I watch a few different channels to get bits and pieces for the lives and stuff like that. Some reactors, reviewers, some just like they show the footage, like just saying has, a lot of footage, and there's other channels that clip her together. So I was watching that, and Garlic Bread is one of the other channels. So Garlic Bread, aww, Bandit just came in and brought me a pillow, which was nice. But Garlic Bread, his channel has a lot of traffic, a lot of traffic, and he really, really gets under Chantal's skin. And probably Sala, and probably Natter back in the day, or whatever, because he points to things they don't like. So, for the past few videos, I've been saying that to Mr. G. That is one of the fattest things she's ever done. She tops the next video. She does. He does pretty good at recapping her. He's not wrong. He'll show receipts. We're having mac and cheese, sort of, with unsalted pretzels. Hey, Andy. Recaps are funny. They're different. Like, we usually just sit and talk. Even when I would do a recorded video, I can count on one hand the number of times I use actual footage. Maybe like a 10-second whatever from it. But when we would film the recorded videos, I'd have all sorts of stuff and be snooping around at her life, and I'd be watching it painstakingly. And that's painstaking is the word, to have to sit through it. And the bulk of the time I was doing those really those detailed lives is when she was doing the 4-hour lives. So she would sit there and eat and get high and fall asleep and burn herself and lie about things you shouldn't lie about because it can get people put in jail. And then eat and seek pity, and you can't find any, get mad, and when no one cares, go eat. That seems to be the extent the extent of what she'd be doing. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But Gorlick is sharp. He's got a smug streak to him. You can hear in his voice. He either used to be a huge asshole, or in certain circumstances, he's still a huge asshole. Seems like a nice guy. Seems like he feels like we're all on the same playing field. But don't push him into a corner, or he'll tell you how much better than you he actually is. So that's the smug thing. I used to run really tight. I don't have a lot of male friends. The only time I spent a lot of time around adult males was treatment centers or like 12-step meetings. And there's 1,000 guys like Gorlick Bread who are kind, shovel your sidewalk, do anything you need, would help you in the garden, would help you in the yard, would bring you over something to eat, would do all those nice things. But when they're out for number one, they're more of an asshole. It's the kind of person that says, I'm very humble now that I'm doing better. Let me tell you how humble I am for 30 minutes. That's not humble. How hypocrisy is that? So she asks what has she lied about, and he'll put up what she's lied about. And then they're like, well, you shouldn't even be worried about that. A lot of it has to do with money. I think a lot of it has to do with money and ego and bullshit between Chantal and some of the other creators. I know she goes after Gorlick Bread, saying that he has no life outside of her, but she says the same of French Fry Girl and Yabba. They're afforded a rather nice life because of Chantal. But if it wasn't Chantal, it'd be somebody else. There's a void, and if she were to slip away, another person would fall into space and get the attention. And there'd be either the same French Fry Girl and Yabba, or this new individual, if they came on the scene, would have their own, They'd have their own followers. Nothing's forever. God. So, yeah. Okay, we're going to try with the glasses for a little bit and avoid glare. I'm going to attempt, because I can't see very well. So, they don't post their entire lives online. Yeah, Foxy, that bothers her. They don't have to. They don't have to exploit every area of their life down to their hygiene just to make a few bucks. They act like they do it for fun. Chantal's not doing it for fun. I think Gorlick had other success on YouTube and had like a real, not a 9-to-5 job, but he had like a regular day job. But he's been able to kind of mix up his work style, from what I understand, because he's had enough money coming in from the channel to do it. Chantal's not in the same position. And as the views go down, and the subs aren't going down, but as the views go down, I think a lot of people are running, well, where the hell is her money coming from? It could explain why Sal's not around as much. Maybe there's not enough money for coffee for two. You never know. There might not be. But so goes. The channel where he faked cancer, or so it's been shown. And then it's just so much, I don't know. I didn't lie, and if I did, it was exactly Miss McPhoebe. Exactly. If the views went away, I'm sure Gorlick would have a backup plan. She's the one who doesn't. Correct. He's already made preparations because he doesn't have, I don't think, and not that he's a head above the rest of us, but I think a lot of people, other than Chantal, realize that stuff in life is fleeting. Not just money, people, time, opportunities, and, she's going to find out in her own way, with her own consequences, what that's going to look like for her. Paradoxically, somewhat making me aware of boundaries somewhat. I see you, Kat. I see you coming along the long way with that. Learning about accepting unacceptable behavior. It's been interesting over the years watching Foodie Beauty. Change and then not change. Change locations. Change hair length. Change weights. Change substance of abuse. Change continence. But she's never really changed. She's just rearranged chairs on the deck of the Titanic. So, exactly, strike it while it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. But as far as other reviewers, I don't really watch any of them too much. Yeah, I used to watch when she did old school, just plain old reaction videos. the whole model of the podcast on YouTube with the high personal drama is just not for me. I don't know. It's just not my thing. Like, I don't like the stuff about Chantal's channel that to me is interesting is the food stuff, the addiction stuff, her relationship stuff, all that. Sansa's great, Andy. All those kind of things, I would be interested in knowing about. I don't want to know about Chantal's mother or sister or old friends. I don't care when they come out of the woodwork, according to her, to create some problems. I don't care about that stuff. Same way I don't care about Yaba's parenting style. She has custody of her kids. You couldn't even keep custody of your cats. So, it is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, Yaba I don't really watch, again, because of the style. And the same thing happened with, what was her name? DC Media Girl. I followed really closely right when I started following at the same time. And she's very nice, but she went a very different direction. All of a sudden she had hair extensions and a partner of sorts that was, he was a little less than savory. I would say. I think it was the allegation. Yeah, the allegation that garlic bread had faked cancer. I don't know much about it. Probably shouldn't weigh in. But I know that it was floating out there that was an allegation against him, an accusation. It's a shitty thing to fake, but so is making up a cat charity to get your own cat food. There's other things that are also disgusting. It's not exactly a scale. We're going to have this whole slalom of how scummy is everyone we know on YouTube. Facebook is not quite what it used to be. I gotta say, we're talking about changing up the, we don't really use Twitter or X or whatever it is anymore, and for 1,000 reasons, I'm not interested in continuing to do it. So we looked at some other ones. Blue Sky is one that I was checking out for myself as another place to post content and hang out with people and whatnot. Now, Facebook, I'm not super, for my personal news feed, not thrilled with. It's full of crap and propaganda. And it's not even the kind of propaganda I would believe, but this is what I'm getting. Now, that doesn't mean we wouldn't get rid of the Facebook page, because that's where most people go to meet. That's where we have photos. That's where people get to interact and get to talk with each other. So we wouldn't want to get rid of Facebook. Even if, I didn't like the town my friends lived in, I would still go visit them there. So Facebook stays, unless something dastardly happens. But opening up on some new stuff to try that too. We dropped Facebook and Twitter. I had zero issue with losing Twitter. I was never that into it. So, really, not for myself, certainly, but not for the channel very much. Sometimes things would get shared to Twitter if I look at our analytics, because we used to put out foodie beauty videos. It'd be in the thousands within the first few days of views, and it would show where they came from, and Twitter was a fair amount. It would get shared there, and then it would pick up a bunch of views. So it's not like it doesn't have its uses. But I don't interact with my own family and friends on that. The only other stuff I share with pictures and stuff is Facebook, my own, and I've had Facebook since 2003, 4. So yeah, somebody wrote it. Blue Sky is one I'm looking into. Something different. Something I don't know. I have a degree in communication. And consuming media in the last 8 years has been exhausting. Particularly as of late, whenever there's large changes happening in a country, good or bad. I'm just saying, if there's large changes happening, it can create turmoil. And there's nothing on the news but this turmoil. So I'm having to toe the line between being a well-informed individual and not getting sucked into the scrolling marquee of the news that's supposed to terrify you while you're watching this news up here. Someone's having a flying lesson. What was it? Margaret Cho. It was right after 9/11 she had done a comedy special, a year afterwards, and was talking about the same thing, how things just became so different so quickly right around then. And now we're heading into a different time. As an American, I've been here for 40-some years, born and raised. I can say we're walking into a different time than I grew up in or that I had seen. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't know. But yeah, to the back of things, yeah, we're gonna try blue sky. We'll try something different social media to get it back down to earth where the rest of us are living. That would be the thing to try out. I've never used it, but other people I know who've tried it said they like it. They feel safe using it. They share information on it. Not private stuff, but like articles and photos and things. So we're gonna give it a whirl. Jay, what's up? I know, Kat. So much of my life is still on it. Are you being affected by the federal funding cuts? Me personally, not yet, but shit rolls downhill because most of the money for the programs that we do starts, at the top and slides its way down. Cutting funding for Medicaid services does directly impact it. People I work with who get services, the poorest of the poor will still get them, but the other folks are not as deserving apparently, so they won't. So it'll affect the people that I work with. I have a family member, immediate family, that works for the federal government and works in one of the departments that's getting slashed and burned. So you just kind of check the news every day and find out if you have a job. And they've been at that job for over 25 years. PhD from Georgetown. And potentially on the chopping block because somebody did a line item blow through and decided they were smart. I found a way that Mark and I to save $1,000 a month. I'm not just going to pay the fucking rent. Man, aren't we richer? Aren't we all richer? So, I'm pretty pessimistic as a child of the 80s. The recession, I remember that. I remember money being very tight when I was a kid. All around. I grew up in a small town outside of Scranton, and it was always depressed. It's post-coal country up here. And it was a depressed little small town I was in. Everybody I knew from school wanted to get out. Everyone tried to find a way out of where they were. It was the kind of town where people's kids left, and people didn't come back later to resettle. They just left and stayed gone. So, Kathy, hello. It's probably only tea time around your spot. You're on the West Coast, I believe, right? So, I'm doing a little better. I'm having a piece of fruit. Because you can't get enough fiber. Apparently. I don't know. So, we shall... What did I do? Vape break. We're going to take a break from eating for a second. Yeah, so all that social media shit started that spin roll of diatribe I started to go on. But yeah, just mixing things up in that way. And, looking at the way we do things on the channel. There's always reevaluating what's working, what's not as far as what people like to see. And then what's working and what's not as far as what we're able to do. So Scranton would be very happy to hear that you think that you've heard they're coming back. We have our moments. Scranton's still very well known for The Office. Primarily. And that's it. So there's like big cardboard cutouts downtown. There's a giant friggin' mural when you come in right off the Biden Expressway, which pissed off locals because the dude's from here, like or dislike. So of course they're going to name it something after him. They name him after a lot of dead presidents. We have all these streets. I live on a street named after a dead president. So do 8,500 of my freaking neighbors. So what else? But yeah, the murals from The Office, they have come through there. And it's a kitschy thing. It's a big university town. The University of Scranton itself, it's a Jesuit school. And I think a lot of kids that would otherwise go to BC or not BC, where the hell? St. Joe's or some other more urban school, they go there. And it has a really tight alumni association. It's a big science school. I had, again, more immediate and married and distant family and friends who all went there. I went there for a year. It's expensive. It's not cheap. 1 year there was worth the 4 years I spent, or the 3.5 I then spent at the state school that I graduated from. I went to Temple. So, I don't know. But it's great. It's tight. And then we have the St. Patrick's Day parade coming up. Go Irish! That is the 4th largest in the country. And considering Scranton is not even a city of 100,000 people, that's a little grand. But again, the alumni from the colleges brings a lot of young people back. And it's one of those things where the bars open at 7 a.m. and there's green beer puke everywhere. You have kegs and eggs. The population is probably like this, if not going down a little, I would say, for Scranton. Regionally, it's maybe up a little, but for the actual city of, going down. a bit, but that's just, the trend around here. So, go Owls! T-U, mother! T for Temple U. I don't really like sports. Apparently Temple has some sporting teams. I wasn't aware. Actually, I was aware because I worked there for a minute and a half after I got out of college. And I worked in the housing office. It was a very, very different time. It was a very different environment working in higher education. It's a much more relaxed environment, even though it has like office rules and protocol and stuff. People there seem to have good priorities as far as their work-home balance too. I really liked working there. It's a shame that I got so drunk so fast that I showed up to work drunk and I was fired. So, well, it wasn't the only time I showed up drunk. It was the only time I was overtly drunk and was then fired. But you're a Temple mom? My mom came. Did you go to Temple to visit the kids? My mom came down and we went to Woody's. How old was I? 19, I think. And we went to Woody's, was the oldest and at the time most well-known gay bar in Philly. And my mom would have been 50, I guess, or so. She seemed, then she seemed older to me. Now it's like, so we were gonna go with some friends, and it was my little group of friends because I was like leadership with the Gay and Lesbian Student Union on Temple's campus. And so I was like the gay den mother, I held the freshmen in tow, going to their first gay bar, holding their hair when they puke, helping them put glitter different places. So it was fun to be in that kind of almost like a mentor-y type of role. We don't know yet, Miss McPhoebe. She's putting it off forever and ever and ever. So I'm going to say it's at least going to be months. Now, my father did some reconstruction at their house to have a downstairs like powder room. So there's some space that if, you need to stay on one floor and you can't go anywhere, because you probably get sick of things like bed baths and dry shampoo, especially if you can't hop in and out of the shower. So, I don't know. But her knees were fine then. Mom stayed till 2, was it 2:30 almost when we left? Last call. It was chicken night because we were kids. So, it was underage night, Wednesday night. So we couldn't drink anyway. All the older guys on the bar side skulking out at the chickens and watching us do what we do. And of course, my mother, who doesn't really drink, came out to go dance with us. So she had a good time, I think. I have a picture of Mom from a pride parade too, where she's holding a leather king. Started as woman, and then as drag king. So, Mayor, what's up? How are you? A Susan powder room? Hey-o! Tip your waitress. Try the veal. I like you, Jay. Good to see you, Mayor. Good to be seen. If she doesn't do it by April, wait till October. Don't ruin the summer. That's the thing. Every single year, like, she was going to do it before the wedding, but then she didn't want to have surgery the year of the wedding. Then when we got married, and that was 2 years ago. And she was on cortisone shots and steroids then just so we could do the little board this way shimmy for our mother-son dance. And she'll get it eventually. And everyone I know who had their knee replaced said, I wish I had done it sooner. I wish I had not been in pain for so long. I wish I would have done it sooner. Now, I imagine putting plastic into your leg and then stapling it back together is probably uncomfortable, maybe a little crude on the surface. But if it gets you up and about and moving, then why not? You're cold, Mayor? Well, it's not as warm as it is in sunny Florida. It's actually not bad here. It felt hot coming in because it's about 45 outside, so the inside heat goes up to about 75. Yeah. I love your video with Mark. Oh, good. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. We're still eating. Technically, we're still eating. So, I used to, I did OMAD for 1,000 years, but I'm trying to mix it up lately and eat during the daytime and eat something more smaller during the day and then less at night. It helps me sleep better primarily, which helps my mental health, and I'll probably drop a pound or two if I change up the quality of what I'm eating too. So, oh, Mayor. So good. So good. Send her a happy winter card. You guys live in the upper Midwest. You reap what you sow. I don't know what to tell you. So, up here, we're in the temperate zone. We're probably going to get another couple cold snaps, I would say. And maybe a little rain, a little snow, probably more snow and ice before the year's over. We'll see how that shakes down. Usually in this area, this time of the year, that's how it is. You'll think it's spring, and then bam, you'll get one more storm. You're having your fake spring. It's kind of like what we're having here, too. Snowy and icy this weekend. Yuck. Yeah, same here, Jay. All the snow melted for the most part, except for a few brown piles of snow on the side of the road. This is my least favorite part of winter. Winter, when it's the first snow and it's Christmassy, there might even be a few leaves still on the trees. Like, that's pretty and that's cute. But after 3 months of this shit, and there's just cinders all over the place and road salt, and everyone's car looks like it was a prop from a movie, like Backdraft, because they're all covered in dust. Your cats are getting the spring energy, better or worse. Bandit's very excited, I would have to say. Oscar's been pretty chill for the most part, but Bandit went buck wild, like, in the last few days. Which is good. He's an older cat, so I like to see him doing stuff. February is the shortest month for a reason. Can't take any more by the end. It's tough. I've had, like, hallmarks, or, like, not hallmarks, anniversaries of unpleasant things that have happened, and they've been Februaries and Novembers, I would say. Veterans Day is a dicey one. For no reason. Whatever. I don't know. But, I was talking at work today, like, when's the next holiday? Did they get rid of Juneteenth? I mean, I figured that's coming next. If they didn't, then I'll have Juneteenth off, I guess. I don't know. Mark will be joining us tomorrow. I need phone, guys. Mark will be joining us tomorrow. He's in an undisclosed location. March derailed. Sad in the winter is so tough, isn't it? Yes. No, he's not dead. He's fine. In transit, planes, trains, automobiles. You know. But, I suspect he'll be here. I suspect we'll have another video up tomorrow night, too. And I think he'll be in it. I think it's part 2 of the part 1 mystery. Lennox misses him. Oh, well, you can always put on the Mondays with Mark playlist. There's hours of it. Our ratio of viewers to videos is like 3-to-1. So, you know, have yourself a fun time. The Mondays with Marks are a hard video to categorize. They have a playlist, but within a Mondays with Mark, you might have a craft, a recipe, did you know? And those make for really dynamic content and fun, like, programs to watch, like almost a whole episode. But if someone wants to find just one or the other things that are from the video, unless they're pulled out or on their own, it's hard to see. We're due for a real talk, Andy. It's good. Mark just came in. He was, you know, he's going through a lot of changes. Mark is a great actor. Yes. The Oscar moment. I have my Oscar. I can't act. You guys know I can't act. That's why I struggle so much with the skits and the scripted-y things that Mark likes to do. I try to be a sport, but I can't fucking act. I'm not good at it. It's not believable. It's not believable. I can sing a little, I can certainly dance, but I cannot act. Never could. Dancing. I was just telling Mark I wanted to go dancing the other day. I don't know why, because we both break a hip, but it sounded like a good idea because I heard the new Lady Gaga song, Abracadabra, which I loved, but it made me want to go to the club. Halloween costumes are your personal fave. Those are fun. Those are fun to do. I'll tell you what, some of these programs that we do, like the costuming and stuff, it's labor intensive as far as getting changed to people. running around each other in smaller spaces, and it was getting, kind of tight to do. But since we'd been able to move and have more space, it's been a lot easier and more comfortable to film different types of stuff. And we have more room for all the video crap. This whole room is dedicated to it. So I ended up calling it the studio. Mark calls it the office. But yeah. Thank you, Jen. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. I don't know if you've seen the sketch, Stuart Saves His Family, or Stuart from Saturday Night Live, but then there was a movie spin-off, like so many SNL things, with Stuart Saves His Family as the movie, which is highly watched in my household because it's kind of these poor pitiful people, and you're dying for them. But the main character in the movie, Stuart, is also like, as much as my family's falling apart, to keep myself sane, I have to stay away. But it doesn't work. He keeps getting sucked into like toxic family drama, and it's funny. It's a comedy. I thought it was funny. Anyway, I think some other people I knew that were friends of my mother's had seen it and thought it was so sad. I'm like, you gotta have a little dark humor, You can't be so serious about everything so often. It's not healthy. Who was the dude who was also like a senator or a congress? Al Franken. There's a couple other actors in there that I kind of know, some SNL alum, smaller ones. There's no other big names in it that I can think of. At least they weren't big at the time. Vincent D'Onofrio was like in a comedic kind of supporting cast role in that, and he's one of my favorites. I loved him on Law and Order and stuff like that. But he was in that. The father was somebody familiar. So if you watched it, you'd see it. It's probably, I'm sure it's free. It's the kind of movie that I probably wouldn't even show on a plane. I'm sure it's free on Vizio if you go look for it or something. So, but it's cute. It's cute if you're in a sappy kind of snarky mood. His old partner's name is David. Yeah, check it out. It's not bad. Your work drama seems to be resolving. I hate work drama. I'm so glad to hear for you that it's resolving. It's because, good. It's good that you're less ripped up about it. Because, a lot of us, we have to work. We don't have the option not to. And so we do, and you have to just make do with the situation, whether you like the job or not, for a while. So. Work for me is slow now, and it's going to just continue to pick up. Today was busy. I was on the road. I was in Stroudsburg, like Monroe County, about 2 miles from the New Jersey border. So I was about halfway to New York City, driving time from Scranton. It only takes about 2.5 hours to get to New York from here. And I was already a chunk of the way there. And I was giving a presentation for a community support group about co-occurring mental health and drug and alcohol disorders. And it was a small room, but a good audience, but hot. And I had an appointment afterwards that I was rushing to get to that was then canceled, which was somewhere between a relief and I wish I knew 3 days ago, because I would have probably put something else productive in that spot. So instead, I went back to the office and rotted this afternoon, spending on the phone, doing emails and stuff like that. Love New Jersey, New York. The Delaware Water Gap was actually the spot right where we were up to. I got off at the last exit before that, right on the border between PA and New Jersey. There's some really beautiful, what are the mountains? Kidneys? Northern Jersey has their own kind of rural areas where they meet up with the tri-state area with New York as well. And there's a little connection, and it's beautiful stuff. When people talk about upstate New York, the Finger Lakes are just a few hours to the west of that, so there's quite a bit to see and do. I don't ski, but if you like to ski, we have a lot of mountains. Quite a few mountains. I think the tallest one in Pennsylvania is not too far away. Elk Mountain. Again, I don't ski, but if you do like to strap things to your feet and fly down mountains, maybe you'll come visit. They had a ski club in my high school. I went to a private school. You can tell. Ski club. A hobby like that, you need like $400, $500 to put down before you can even get on the lift. Plus, bad knees run in the family, as you can see. So, we try to be mindful of physical things. Try not to move too quick. Suggesting Jane Austen videos since it's an anniversary of her something or other. The cats decided to be gentlemen of leisure. I can tell you, they've been pretty chill. Like, with Mark being gone, they've been fine. Bandit geeked out one night, was running up and down the hallways after nothing, after hanging out, laying low. They're eating, they're sleeping, they're pooping, they're doing all the thing happy cats do. I spend time with Oscar once a day, and then I try to pet Bandit, but we know how that goes. And they were fine. But then we have our front closet, which is where all the Christmas stuff is. It's right off the living room. And we have one of those lights that screws in that's motion censored when you come in and out. Well, of course, the kitties are motion. So he'll dive in there, the light will go on, it'll be like a strobe. He'll be jumping all over the place, all the way back to like the tree in the back of the closet. Wild kitty. Wild kitty. You think it would be Oscar, because Oscar's, well, younger, smaller, more spry, but Bandit's the one who does all the climbing. He's up in the cat tree, he's all the other places, so that's our boy. He's getting older too. Bandit's got to be 13 or 14. When we got him at the shelter, they said he was about 3 or 4, and that was about 10 years ago. So yeah. Oscar did. There's old shorts you can find. One of the first shorts I think we had was Oscar climbing on the roof. It was at our first apartment, and there was a long, like, sheet metal kind of fence with, like, vines and overgrowth all over the top of it between our yard and the property next to us, which was like a rooming house type place. And it was overgrown all the way up into the roof of the place next door. And Oscar was very not scaredy cat. He sounded like a scaredy cat, but he was very brave. Just climbed up, went over, he's walking around the roof. Do I ever miss it? There's, I don't know. It's because it was our first place, maybe. You know, it's got that kind of feeling to it, but, for what we were getting and where we were living, I'm much happier where we are now. It's one thing, we had kind of like a low rent landlord. We were living in a less expensive area. I mean, we're talking about when Mark and I moved 10 years ago, he was still doing chef work, commuting between where the restaurant is to Scranton, and I was starting a new career that I had zero experience in. So I was starting at like $12 an hour, and it was going to take a while to build up enough money to, like, you know, save up for a second pair of pants. So yeah, there's some nostalgia there. We did the videos. I spent all of COVID there. I worked from home. Mark was still in the office, and just as well, because he couldn't stand to be home. I spent years, months and years, with just me, and we didn't have Oscar at the time. Oscar was the outdoor kitty, so it was just me and Bandit at the other place. And yeah, there's some sentimental stuff to it, but not so much that I'd want to go back. Even though the rent was good. The rent was about 2/3 of what it is here, but nevertheless. The place next door that was condemned that we were living in when we had to go live in the hotel for a couple weeks, the lights are back on. So they've done some amount of work back there, and the lights came on. Megs, I know that name, Megs. Did you have another name you would use, too? Because I know your name, and I have a favorable impression. I didn't go, Megs. But, yeah, well, good to have you here. Pull up a seat. Have some very cold mac and cheese. But yeah, the freaking lights are on. Now, of course, they get the power turned back on, and they leave the light on in the apartment. Don't turn it off, and it's been on for 4 days. But with all the additions they did, they must have got, nope, just Megs, always Megs. Well, then I'm sometimes not too clearly thinking. It's good to see you, Megs. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. You're just laying low? sometimes folks get a distance from YouTube completely and they don't come into chats, then they do nothing. But then sometimes people just go stealth for a while and they're just going to hang out and watch, maybe not comment or anything. But I'm liking this dinner thing. This is so much easier than Chantal. Granted, it's not as popular, but it's so much nicer to just sit and just BS for a little while. We have plenty of opportunities to have sit-downs and lives on relevant topics. You'd be nosy and check what permits they have next door. I should go see. They have those locks on the door handles that they had when the city shut it down. But if they got the power turned back on, they must have done something to adjust it. Now that apartment, I liked a little better than that. Mark loved it. He loved that apartment. Loved. He's the one who found it. I was just like, oh, okay, we'll move in. But there were so many other issues with the place that we couldn't, yeah, who puts the deck on first, right? And then I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I shouldn't be so presumptuous that I know the ins and outs of construction. Maybe they do know what they're doing, but coming in and out, and like I think I had told you, Mark had talked to the new guy who was a new partner in the business. He just got involved, meaning he gave the other two partners a bunch of money to share this mess. And they took him for a ride, it sounds like. But we were on the first floor still, next door. We had a few steps to come up, which were, not only were they not handicap accessible, they made it like harder if you're able-bodied. But it did have the nice big porch like we had. And then, Mark was doing the gardening outside, or he was trying to do something, but he couldn't do it. We got married when we were living there. That was the apartment that we had some friends come visit around the wedding time. So that has some memories to it. And like I said, I know Mark loved it, but I can't live so uncomfortably. The place was shut the fuck down. I'd be stupid to go back over there now and say, here, take my money, please. Exactly, Megs. I'm like, no, too many flags. Fool me once, shame on you. I was surprised we even got our security deposit back. Because I thought we were dealing with the kind of landlord who would drag his feet and we'd be in court and I'll get it to you and make empty promises and all sorts of stuff. So our original place, we moved out. They were going to sell the place, which we found out about 6 months later. They wanted the apartment for a family member. I'm like, you can't break a lease just because you have a family member. But we were on a month-to-month at that point because we had been there so long. So they had said, we want the place. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, I guess. If you want us out, we'll go. But I don't know who moved in there. I drove by a few times because we had shit grown in that garden that I'm sure is still growing there now. I guarantee there's mini pumpkins growing in that driveway. Promise you. Because all the seeds just got tossed. And they went through and mowed everything down. It's just a yard again. The garden's gone. But I was wondering what might have survived, Okay, Sarah. So, anyone have any interesting, exciting plans coming up for the weekend? I don't. Jealous. It is the beach bone, Kathy. That's what's causing all of this. It was the wife. She was kind of she was a nudge. She was a nudge, and she talked a lot, and she was, snooty. She's the kind of person when she talks to you, she's going like this the entire time. Like she's looking you up and down and assessing you while she's talking. And she was obnoxious. And she also assumed none of us spoke Spanish. I can speak enough to tell when you're being an asshole. So, losing some happy relationship weight finally in a healthy way. Good. Yeah, I've been fat and miserable and fat and happy. But I think when we got married, I gained probably about 20 pounds or so. And I had gained before the wedding and then lost again, so whatever. I'm just the right, I'm Steve-sized. Eating disorder as a youngster, restricting mostly. Yeah, when I was, as a big kid, I had a friend just send me some high school pictures out of nowhere, 25 years, and they were nice, but it's a mixture. If you look at my sophomore year, I was a chubby kid with glasses, and if you look at my freshman or my junior and senior year, I look like this, skeleton, pasty white with jet black dyed hair. No. I got engaged, so I want my stuff to look perfectly. Yeah, I was really I kind of gave in on trying to fit in to something I wanted to wear. So, not yet, Jake? Okay. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Of course, Florida's kind of big. So, it's kind of hard to say, oh, have you met John? He lives in Florida. You know how big Florida is? So. Your mother let you dye your hair? Like, I had, black. Well, thing is, though, they were okay with that because I have naturally, like, dark brown hair. I was going to be in a musical, The Sound of Music, and I had to, they asked me if I would get my hair highlighted, and I did, and then I got it bleached after that. But then I was maintaining it with peroxide and not bleach, and it turned yellow. So after I got out of that, I would dye it black. And for the most part, I would dye my hair blue-black. The brand I would get was Dark and Lovely Midnight Blue. So it's for black folks. Extra moisturizing, and it doesn't stain your scalp. Dark hair dyes, especially when you're as bald as I am, like, mind you, my hairline was probably up to here at that point. Like, I'll throw a picture up on Facebook maybe, because like I said, I just got some. And my hairline was down to about here. Of course, as the years go by, and the drinks go down, and the smokes go down, bodies age. It happens. Nobody ages in reverse. No one normal. But so it goes. Really? No black clothes? I like my hats too, Kat. My head gets cold at work. It gets cold. Actually, it gets cold everywhere. I'm getting older now. My head's always cold. So, no, the black was okay. They were okay with the black stuff. My brother wore a lot of black. I think my mother thought he was either going to be an artist or a serial killer. He kept funny hours, and he wore a lot of black. But only old widows wore black. It matches. I mean, it's difficult. You can have blacks that don't match if they're pilly or whatever, but black match. I would wear Garanimals for adults if they made them, because I don't have a good sense for put this, with that. And every time I think I do, someone, like, I'll think I picked out an outfit that looks okay, and Mark would be like, so you're gonna wear that? I'm like, yeah. You're like, you really feel comfortable in that shirt? Like, yeah, I guess I don't. I'll put on something else. So I just let him pick out the clothes. It's just easier. But yeah, no, ton of black. Dyed my hair black. At school, they didn't like me. I had bleached my hair for the play, and then right after dyed it blue. Now, this was a fashion color, but fashion colors were not fashion colors 26 years ago in small town northeastern Pennsylvania. So I was told, dye your hair back or you can't go to the prom. Well, I was going to 3 proms that year, so I dyed it back, got it cut and dyed it back. Like when my sister got married, my hair at the time was black with, like, red like this on the tips. So it was, everyone had brown hair and blonde highlights, so I had jet black hair and bright red tips on it. But then my sister ended up getting married. So I colored my hair. I left my nose ring in, but I colored my hair for that. So, you don't want to be a spectacle on somebody else's day. You want to kind of draw a little less attention to yourself, because how often do you get married, It depends who you ask, I suppose, how often you get married. Check my pants I bought to make sure they weren't too tight before she let me wear them. That's a lot of rules, Miss McPhoebe. That's a lot of petty little rules, I would say. My dad would always have to hem my pants because I had the waist. I had like a 46 waist around the true waist in the center. And I was like 5'9" at that age, so. You got black clothes banned for everyone who went to your high school, then quit and got your JD. I like you, cat. You're a good egg. Yeah, I went to private school. We had uniforms. Your only source of independent expression was the girls would change up their shoes. The guys might wear puka beads. And it was right around then that cargo pants got excited, and they had to send out a whole freaking memorandum to all our parents, acknowledging that cargo pants are not, in fact, khaki pants. They're not dress pants. This was important, mind you. Not AP placement, not college prep, none of that. No. Make sure your fucking pants, whatever. It was also during my time there that the girl who was the year ahead of me, who I'm like off and on besties with for years, they petitioned the school principal so that the girls didn't have to wear skirts if they didn't want to in the winter, because knee highs in a skirt when it's 2 degrees out, it's cold. So they were like, what the hell, why can't we wear pants? And they were like, yeah, you can wear pants. So there were some changes and updates to the dress code, but not to the school I went to. The public school, they have uniforms, but they're just matching shirts and bottoms. There's nothing crazy about them. Modesty, sit like a lady. Legs always together. A lady reveals nothing. I didn't have a lot of that. I don't remember my parents gendering us much about how my sister should act or how we should act or anything like that. My sister had a pretty good head on her shoulders, so she didn't need a whole lot of corralling. It wasn't like if she was me, where you'd be trying to chase me down, pick me up from the police station, so. You were a disappointment? Well, fuck the disappointed. So, yeah. I just, clothes are just, I don't get too married to them because my body I get fat, I get thin, I get fat, I get thin. Now that's on me to sort out. But as far as my wardrobe goes, it's hard. I try to keep things in a few different sizes, but I can't keep a full wardrobe in 8 sizes. So what ends up happening is I get down to a point where I'm either too big or too small and only have a few things to wear. So I'm either hand washing them in the sink or I'm doing laundry every 2 days. It probably looks like I have a work uniform, even though I don't, but because only a few things feel good to wear. And I have to sit and drive a lot and stuff, so I gotta be comfortable. Try to be comfortable. It's a luxury. I have a nice job. I have an office. I have my own space. I try not to be snotty about it or take it for granted and try to acknowledge it, because I have been there a long time. And I think I'd mentioned in another another live, I've been doing mental health for 10 years and I get curious about drug and alcohol services, but I also get curious about maybe I want to move. Maybe we want to go somewhere else. Maybe we just want to cash it all in and start over. Take 6 months off and then we ride and go live on love. It's not a plan. And there's very few resources to do that, exactly. I'm back in there pretty much every day now, into the office. Every other Friday I have a short day. Like tomorrow I get out at 11:30. It's a benefit they added about a year ago, that they split the agency in half, and alternating Fridays, you get out at 11:30. But I have to go into the office anyway, because it's the end of the month, and there's reports and shit to do, so I have to go in. But usually, most days in the office. If I'm on the road, it's because I'm doing something where I have to go back to the office after as home base and whatever. Today I had to travel, and I was in Stroudsburg, but I came back, and I was at the Scranton office, and I stayed there for the rest of the day, making phone calls and doing emails and all that fun shit. I imagine you're good at your job, you'd be okay. It's just the subtleties of new places. Like when you're working with human services, it's helpful to be like the go-to of the people in your community. Like if someone says, I need a place to live, I don't have any food, I don't know what to do. It's part of the job to be a resource broker and not necessarily refer people, but to know those resources and to give them to people, to drop their anxiety a little, to let them know that there is help out there. Moving to a new place is a sharp learning curve because I have to learn their mental health systems, how they interact. If I stay in Pennsylvania, it's not going to be too foreign. But if I move to another state, I have to think about reciprocity for my certification, because some states won't take it. I'd have to take all their training and get their own credential. And so there's complications with moving, but moving is exciting when it's like a big life thing. I don't see it happening for a little while, but I can see it happening. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what shape I'm in. We'll see what shape Mark is in, and we'll see what shape I guess my parents are in about, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, and we'll decide from there, I guess. My parents are the only other family aside from extended family that I have up here in this part of the state. My brother is in South Central PA, and my sister's down outside of DC. So I don't have anybody else except my parents up here. So if they were to move, parents like, I think my brother's been asking my parents to move in with them to babysit. No, to be family for years, And if they were going to retire, I could see my parents doing that and going to stay there, living in a mother-in-law suite or something like that. So that would leave me and Mark up here alone with very few people outside of, I have my friends and chosen family, but not the birth folks. So that would be an opportunity to say, hey, maybe we'll relocate. Maybe we'll start over. There's money is always an issue. Because I've been at the same job for a while, I have some stacked, but not enough for 2 adult men to go start over. I mean, when I say start over, I want to go take like 6 months off and go find a new job, find a new place to live. And the idea of starting over to me involves having a large amount of money at the start of it to pay for things and to go. So it's a lot to take on, Cindy. And you know what? Mark's not in the same condition he was 2 years ago. I'm not. So we should go somewhere interesting, and then everyone will come. We'll see. Yeah, moving's a nightmare. I don't like it. It's gonna have to be movers, help, and that kind of thing. Because the last time we moved, Mark had some limits to what he could help with, and I think at this point, I would end up probably doing the bulk of it between the two of us. Mark would probably do the packing. That's what it would change. He would do the packing, I do all the lifting. That's how we would probably divide the labor if we were moving again this time. So it's kind of like with laundry. Like I was like, pick out what needs cleaned, whatever. And I do the lifting, so I go down and do it. But he's overseen the whole process, so he approves of what's happening in his absence. No, I'm sure he'd rather be able to do the laundry and take the stairs himself. I'm sure he doesn't. That's like Foodie Beauty acting like a pretty princess because she can't reach her feet. I have someone to put my socks on. You need someone to put your socks on. That's different. So I always joke with Marco. We try to make light of it. I was like, ooh, I'll be your au pair. Oh, not your au pair. What is it? Like your CNA, your nurse's aide. And if you want, I can do the bathing and we'll powder you up afterwards and wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And, that kind of thing. Because like when we get older, I don't know what he'll want or what I'll want. I don't know if he'll want to stay in the home and have people come in. Does he want me to help him? Does he want a stranger? Does he want a paid person to do it? I don't know. Parents decided I should help them lift 200 pounds of salt for their water heater. Aw, see, they're looking out for your muscle mass. Sounds good, right? Yeah. Well, folks, it was a nice time tonight, sitting down and just chatting. We had a nice little crew. We had about 40 of us in here, a little over 40, off and on the whole night. So it was cool to just veg out and do nothing. I hope if you didn't get a chance to chat, you had a good time chilling out and lingering. I hope I gave you some level of entertainment or some interaction. And please don't hesitate to subscribe. Hit the thumbs up on your way out if you'd be so inclined. This will go up for replay right after this. We're up on Facebook, I think Instagram, and then, like I said, we're talking about Blue Sky at the moment. So no Twitter or X anymore. We barely used it, but not anymore, certainly. So that's out of the way. All of our other contact info is below. Thank you all for being here, and we will catch up with you very soon. I believe tomorrow is when we will reconvene with Mark. So we'll see, but I'll just leave it there with that. Probably tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. You never know, but probably. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for keeping me company, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.